Hi, I'm Mark Barnicat, and I'm the president and co-founder of Highview Financial Group. And today I want to talk about a topic that I don't think really gets enough airtime in the industry, especially for clients, and that is as it relates to what is a true investment fiduciary. So to talk about this, the first thing I think we need to mention is that there's really two standards of care within the investment industry today. The first one is suitability, and the second one is it's a higher level is called the fiduciary. So, just briefly, a suitability standard is one that really applies to a relationship with an advisor where they're probably going to be more product based. They're going to be selling you something, whether it's a stock, a bond, an investment fund. They're not really talking to you in terms of a portfolio, but their obligation from a suitability standpoint is to make sure that what they're recommending to sell to you is suitable by considering factors such as your income and your net worth and your age. That's a baseline standard, and it's obviously very much needed. But what we believe, especially for affluent families, is a higher standard of care is that of a fiduciary one. And in a fiduciary one, you not only have an obligation to make sure that anything you're recommending is suitable, but, and this is key, you need to make sure that you're actually acting in the client's best interest. And the fiduciary concept has been around for hundreds of years. The more common example people recognize would be that of like a doctor or a lawyer, because those professionals, again, are also fiduciaries and have to put your interests first. So the question comes up is that, well, why is this important for investors? And it's important because just because an investment is suitable doesn't mean that the advisor is legally obligated to act in your best interest. And I know that might sound a little odd and contradictory, but it's actually the way that it is. And a good example that I've just included on the screen here is, let's say that you're an investor who has a need for a high monthly income. Well, an advisor that'd be following, say, a suitability standard, their obligation, they might have a favorite fund that they use that has a higher payout. And so they would recommend that to you. And as long as it lines up against, the factors I showed on the previous screen in terms of your age and your income and your net worth, then they would have fulfilled their obligations. But if you're a fiduciary based advisor, you not only need to look to the suitability, you need to look to the fiduciary standard, which means that you would also need to investigate the sustainability of that cash flow from that recommended investment solution. And you would also need to really look at the cost effective distribution coming from those types of investments. So it's a much higher level standard of care. It requires more research, more due diligence. But again, for affluent families, we believe it's a far better way to go in terms of selecting an advisor to work with. In Canada today, advisors that are fiduciary based are typically going to have the label of portfolio manager, and they're going to be regulated by either the provincial securities commissions across the country, or if they're working for large brokerage firms, they can also be registered as portfolio managers through those firms as well. But what's interesting is that across Canada today, we've estimated from various industry resources that there's probably somewhere between 90 to 100,000 advisors in Canada today, but only about 7 to 8% of them are actually legal fiduciaries or portfolio managers. So you can see that higher standard of care, because it has a higher level of education and professional experience that goes into it, we just don't have as many people as fiduciaries as we do ones that just have to follow a suitability standard. Now, even when fiduciaries, I've always felt that they're not necessarily all the same. They may all be legally the same, but when it comes down to the practical operations of their businesses, there can be differences. And what I mean by that is that in my experiences, some of the best investment fiduciary advisors and firms in the country, they have a process that they follow. And that process enables them to ensure over time that they're meeting the goals and objectives and risk tolerances of their clients' portfolios, but that they're always acting in the client's best interest. And they do this by avoiding or mitigating conflicts of interest. In other words, they're very objective in the advice they provide. and they're also very transparent in terms of all their business dealings with their clients, particularly as it relates to fees. Because at the end of the day, especially as it relates for affluent families, being able to make their wealth sustainable for multiple generations is an often need that we come across in working with families. Now, just quickly about Highview, we are an investment fiduciary. We've been really since the inception of the firm a little bit over 12 years ago, but not just at the firm, the principals within Highview. We have anywhere from probably 10 to 30 plus years experience, formerly with Bay Street firms as fiduciaries. The final piece that we really like to differentiate ourselves on is when it comes to the objectivity and transparency that we provide families. The objectivity in the sense that we don't have any proprietary investment management offerings at Highview. We go to the market to select the top tier managers that match the purposes that we're designing for families. And then secondly is the transparency around the fees, and not just the advice fees, but all the fees that could come across and through the client portfolios. And we believe that if you're fully objective, you're fully transparent with families, combined with all the attributes of being a fiduciary, that to us is the highest standard of care that we can provide to our clients as families. So I thank you for your time. I hope this has been helpful. If you have any further questions, we'd love to have a conversation with you. And if you want more information at our firm, you can go to www.highviewfin.com. Thanks again.